All right, episode 37. Today, we are going to talk about what is more important. Is it your network or your brokerage that is going to help you build your business and the income you're wanting? We're going to fight about this right now.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
I told you that we would be executing a contract soon. Just calm down. I will get you the offer.
All right, that's a way to start it.
God.
That is a way to start episode 37.
That's voice to texting an agent.
That's right.
I get so irritated. I don't understand.
Like
I don't understand the it's all written right there. Why are we arguing about a conversation we've been having for 2 days?
I just don't understand. I don't understand. Look, listen. Maybe this is just,
show's starting off just confused.
Maybe it's too much meditation on my part, or maybe it's laziness. I like to think it's the former, but like, I just don't get the competitive, combative agent guy, like, or girl, like whatever it is, like
It makes no sense.
I have a deal right now that's probably closing tomorrow or Friday. I can't remember. Like, we had thousands of dollars in repairs to do. Like, a bunch of stuff that needed to happen for the repairs got back ordered, and so like they're not even happening before closing. The appraisal came up short. Like, it was all of the ingredients for like a recipe for disaster. I've honestly talked to the other agent like 4 times though in the last 45 days. Like, we just figured it out. Like, they're doing their final walkthrough in an hour. We've been super chill about it the whole time. Yeah. The appraisal came back short. He texted me. He's like, appraisal came back short. I was like, I'm sending my comps right now. Sent my comps to the lender. Earlier today, he was like, appraisal's fixed. I texted the seller, appraisal's fixed. Like, and it's all chill, dude. Like, I just don't understand, like, we're all battling all the time. Like, gives a shit, dude.
This agent has been wearing me out look, my buyers are rolling slow. Right, like they're getting some peace of mind, but we're going to go under contract. You guys have no other opportunities other than this one. Just let this thing simmer. I'm texting you every day. We'll figure it out. Anyways, this is not what this show is about.
Don't be
today.
that agent.
This show is not
cool.
But this may segue perfectly into what we were even going to talk about. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Before we get started on that though, go ahead and go and join our Facebook group. The only Facebook group worth being a part of.
Dang it, he regressed.
So good
Damn
for so
it.
long.
That was Vegas.
That's what happens when you forget it a couple shows in a row.
I was staring at you. Yes. So the only real estate group worth being a part of is our Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And go ahead and go join us over at touracademy.com. That is where you can go and get our membership for $97 a month. The first month is $1.
Boom.
$1 hairs.
One doll hairs.
$1 hairs. And with that, you can see we have access to all of our coaching and training programs, or what's really coaching, and all of our videos are on there has actionable items of how we built our businesses. So,
yes, sir.
touracademy.com, go to our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of.
Hey.
And Matt, we talked about what we want to talk about today. This is your network or your brokerage, this kind of network versus brokerage kind of style deal. But we wanted to have more of a kind of a catchy title just so you could stop and listen to this. Right. But we were doing our Tour Academy bi-monthly Zoom call, and you kind of brought up, and I'll let you go into this. What did you bring up? Well,
I just thought it was really cool, and it may have just been because of what we've all been going through the last couple of weeks, but we've both been with our groups, right? Like, so we're both with big brokerage. If you guys don't know, Nick's with EXP and we're with Keller Williams. Whoa. And we all get along. Man. Can you guys stop being dicks to each other, by the way? It's like super unnecessarily annoying.
You guys spent the same amount of energy that you did trying to like talk shit about each other's brokerages between KW and EXP agents and redirected that into lead generation, you'd all be billionaires.
That's the thing. And that was the deal. But here's the thing is I realized that for us, these 3 people in this room, it doesn't have anything to do with either one of them at all. Nick and his crew came back from EXP Con or whatever they call it, right?
Yep.
It's not a good name.
It is not. There's some of that stuff they got tightened up.
Yeah,
But that's
they'll
okay.
get-
That's okay.
I think it'll get better.
Sounds like a crazy fetish.
Yeah, it does. It sounds.
The X in the middle throws it off. But here's the thing is, you guys came back from that, and of course you were talking about the brokerage as a whole because it was the first time you guys had been there. But what you guys were talking about, what I saw you posting about what you're celebrating the most was the immediate network that you're a part of. Brian and I just got back from Vermont where we were able to go up and actually be a big part of the herd group family thing that we could do once a year. Well, it's the best time to go to Vermont ever is this time of year anyways. And that was a solidification of a bunch of relationships. And it just became really obvious, and we had all, I think, probably known it intellectually, but that I don't care. The brokerage part of the conversation about how I sell real estate, and I think to real producers, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right? Is your immediate network the group of people that you feel like you can grow with.
Right.
And that's what is more important. And again, we joke about it because everybody on every bulletin board, the EXP KW thing, they gripe about it. But I think we get way too caught up in that and don't look at the actual people around us. Are they wealth determiners in our life? And I think for the three of us, I think we can all definitively say that we have the right people in our life for exactly where we're trying to grow right now.
I guess the biggest thing for me, and this is something that I've always sort of struggled with, is like I never get a clear cut, like, okay, here's why from the people that are big brokerage heavy, right? Like whether it's KW, EXP, Remax, or like whoever, or local, maybe you're a small time brokerage person, right? I don't get and nobody has made a real compelling argument to me that their career, if they're a high level operator, their career would be any different if they were with a different brokerage. And if they're a low level operator, they seem to care about their brokerage so much more. And I'm sort of like, I don't know. I know that sounds like I'm dogging on non-producing agents, but I feel like the people that are really running high level businesses built them outside of what their brokerage offered, and it was so much more about the people that they were around.
100%.
Well, and I know Eli Torres just joined in and was watching. I had a call with Eli, and Eli's out of Houston with Keller Williams, right? And we had a call because we were in this other Facebook group, and Matt, you had to actually comment on this. You saw that comment, right? And like the new real estate agents Facebook group, and this lady was complaining about, the lack of service or whatever she was getting her training. And so Eli had made a comment on there. I said, absolutely, you should join Eli, or you should connect with Eli Torres and see if he can set you up at a Keller Williams office, because, one, you also need to put him down as your sponsor because, again, when it comes down to this is who you align with.
Yep.
The old school mentality, and I was talking about this today. I was talking to some people that were interested in possibly aligning with us at EXP, and I said it's no longer about the brokerage; it's the platform. And in fact, the platform needs to allow you to have alignment with people that are going to help you, whether that's financial alignment, whatever that is, help you get to where you're wanting to go,
Yep.
and as quickly as possible. Because whether we like it or not, we will be in a somewhat of a recession or downturn in the immediate near future, whether that's in the next
Derek likes this
2 to
episode
4
already. He's doing eyes in the comments. He's doing googly eyes.
in the next 2 to 4 years, we will be in some part of a downturn.
Yeah.
And so we need to get, agents need to start, one, getting as much money coming in as possible, whether that's through whatever means that is.
Right.
Whether they need to go get a side job delivering pizzas.
And here's the thing. I think that what people don't understand, and I don't know at what point I understood it, I'd heard it a lot before I understood it, is that the relationships you have, and I think doing this show has probably done a little bit more because of people we've had an opportunity to talk to.
Yeah.
And we get to hear people tell their stories a little bit and kind of oogle over them and be in the same room. But the one thing that is definitively clear is that the people they know play a huge part in their life.
Yes.
That we were talking to, I don't even remember who the hell we were just recruiting, or we're talking to about it, and they were talking about trying to do all this stuff on their own. And Adam said it at Advance this weekend. You can't build anything huge without asking for help a ton of times.
Yeah.
And you at the top are way more reliant upon everybody else's success in order for you to continue to have success, right? And there's nothing more apparent in my life that the people I'm meeting through the higher level relationships I have are legitimately determining the money that flows into my life just from those relationships.
Oh, 100%. Your relationships are everything. And the thing is, we live in such a digital age, right? Or I would say we live in the digital age. It's such a campy, silly thing to say. No, but we do live in an age where it is easier to connect with people than ever before. It is so much easier to ask and receive anything. Like from information to relationship. Dude, I just ordered a book on my way down the stairs. It'll be here tomorrow, right? Like it's so much easier to ask and receive for anything in our lives. And so it's easier to form relationships. It's easier to get information. It's easier to get help when you need it, right? The idea of relying solely on your broker or your brokerage to be the determiner of your success is a concept from a bygone era. I can understand that in an age where that was where your core influence was coming from. Your influence and your success is so much more determined by the people in your lives. And yeah, you may organically know more people from your brokerage, but even that is purely a matter of happenstance and choice. I know just as many people from other brokerages in this industry as I do from Keller Williams, even though I'm with Keller Williams. I seek to find and meet mentors and people that I can learn from in all aspects. And that's just a conscious effort that we've put forth. It has nothing to do with our brokerage. And then that's not me hating on our brokerage either. I think it is irrelevant in some respect to our success as opposed to the network that we've built that we are constantly pouring into and being poured into from.
Right. And this was brought up. I mean, Matt and I were talking about this, where when we had just gotten back from our EXP con, right? And
stupid.
This was our first time outside. I was with Keller Williams from 07 till
Why don't they just
19.
do a digital EXP con and they create a digital Vegas?
Because then I think you lose.
And then
out.
you can all wander around and get
It's like an episode of The Office.
Gamble.
Well, you can do that every day.
And they just created in the
Brian,
digital
you already
world.
know about the digital world. You
I
can
do.
jump. You can
I
jump
had
in.
fun.
You jumped in on the boat.
I did. I was.
There's
I
a
was
soccer
doing-
field. I mean,
That was funny.
I kicked that soccer ball around for like 4 hours.
but what
Didn't get
I
anything
would
accomplished.
what I would say is this was our first time outside at another brokerage conference. This was it was weird, right?
Yep.
We're walking in, kind of comparing it to what we had, we were used to.
Yeah.
And it was completely different. And I will say that, at least in our world, so in the EXP world, it's, similar to Keller Williams when it comes to you got the downlines and the profit share, the revenue share. We have the revenue share. And with that, we have our group. It's called the Honey Badger Group. Right? Jay Kinder, Michael Reese, Al Stasic, LB Stasic, they formalized and started this group. And out of it, we hung out with those guys and that entire network more than anything else.
Absolutely.
And what it kind of opened my eyes were open with, one, they took us in like we had been there forever.
Yep.
Right? Beth Ann Jones out of Amarillo took us under her wing. She had introduced us with people. You need to know this person, you need to know that person. And the conversations was all about opening their entire playbooks and showing us what was working in their world, what was working in ours.
Right.
It was that very old school mastermind where everyone wants everyone to succeed and win.
Yep.
And it was mind blowing. It was completely different than any other conference I've experienced or been to.
Yeah.
And what it started making me realize is that we need to think less about our brokerages helping us get there and more about the platform or the people in our world. You guys, I learned from you just as much as you learned from me.
Yep.
Right? What you're doing in automating some of the expired campaigns, where I'm still a little bit old school in that. I'm like, I better step up my game, right? And so we're learning from each other. We're technically competitors
Yep.
at the end of the day. But if I'm going to lose something, I want to lose it to you guys, and vice versa. I know Matt has lost a couple times to us,
Yep.
and he's like, I'd much rather lose to you than to a no-name agent that's done 5 deals.
Yep.
And so it is more important with how our network is
Yep.
than the brokerage itself. And the brokerages are they're out of touch with reality right now.
I think it's funny because we all know a few people in our lives, in our circles, that are like just chronic broker hoppers too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like every 6 months they seem to be at a different office.
Yep.
And like, it's crazy because their businesses never seem to expand. They also don't seem to contract either.
Yep.
Like I don't know many people that are, at least decent producers that make a good living selling real estate that jump brokers a lot, that their business really suffers from it. But I don't see them grow either, right? It's like they're always searching for the answer in the next broker. The next broker's like, dude, you need to focus on your network, your relationships, the people that you know.
There's no bigger real estate no man's land than 12 to 17 units a year.
Oh, God,
Like in
yeah.
our market, that is a space where you as an agent believe that you can always operate your business that low on it from an expense standpoint. right? And also you don't realize the jump from 17 to 30 is like a massive jump where you have to have infrastructure.
Time is leverage, is money, it's operations.
And I think that's who we see successfully move from broker. Their natural talent will keep them at a unit or a unit and a half a month.
And their ego is actually keeping them below that,
It
that
is.
17 to 20 mark, right? Like,
it is.
You ask them like, oh man, I'm making a great living. And you ask the question, well, how are you going to take it up a notch?
Yep.
One, they don't have an idea. They're like, well, I'll just start doing this, or they're searching whether right now the buzzword, and this is something I talked about today with some people that I was meeting with. I said, I'm over the technology talk.
Yeah.
I'm over the hearing about command. I'm over hearing about this CRM, that CRM. Like, again, I can go back to an accordion file and wreck shop and kill, and make sure that I'm doing more business than everyone else. And it's the technology CRM buzzwords right now is designed for retainment of agents.
Yep.
And two, I'm going to tell you right now, it's designed that if agents go away, they still stay in business because they're keeping all your information. I know of 2 freaking brokers right now. When people leave, they assign your old closings, all that data, they assign it to a new agent, and that agent starts calling right away.
They're not going to let data get out of their grasp. They're not going to let data get out of their grasp. Nobody's going to do that, right? Any more than Boomtown would make it easy for everybody to transfer over all their information, right? Like, they're just not going to do that, right? It's not in their financial best interest to allow you to change CRMs, especially when you have a massive database.
No,
right?
of course. And what cracks me up, and like, I'm not going to hate too much on the technology that our broker's building. I don't think there's value in merit in just stopping it down like that. But I will say that there is a certain level of hubris around the idea that a ton of agents that had no idea how to build a real tech infrastructure to take their business into the modern era before are somehow going to have transformative businesses because their broker built something for them. Like, it's just, bro, it's just not reality. The tools that type of technology is going to be basically compartmentalizing and making a one-stop shop for already exist, and people aren't using them for the most part, or they're not using them at a high level. This is not the answer that is going to make you a person that you already aren't, unless you make a conscious decision to become that person, meaning you get skilled up, you learn, you become stronger, or you leverage that out, right, in your business. But you're not just going to have this one turnkey, one-stop shop, like, all of a sudden my business is fucking incredible because they created a piece of software for me.
But we already have it.
It doesn't work.
No, we do. It's right here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you,
these
CRM is
things
right
right here have more technology than anything that any broker is building right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that
And we
agents
already use about 2% of them.
and the fact that agents just aren't picking them up. And I think that even comes into, more importantly, why when we talk about who you're in alignment with, that's even more important, because I think what we're really going to see is agents who, as the industry changes to a more tech-based industry, meaning just how it's depressing commissions and putting even more importance on efficiency and knowledge, right? Like, your value prop no longer can be just information. It has to be actual knowledge. As that continues to press further and further in, especially as we roll into Q1 and everybody's got to pay those Q1 dues, right? That's where we always see just a mass exodus of people is every January when they got to pay those new dues. They're like,
we will this year,
I'm just going to go ahead and let it ride.
I think we will.
There's going to be more and more people that realize, there's going to be more and more agents who realize that nobody's rowing up next to their ass, and they are going to start looking for lifeboats. And that's why doing the kind of stuff that we're doing and aligning ourselves with whoever it is, because Nick talks about his EXP experience, dude. And I should even let you talk about our experience at Advance, because it was your first time up there. I had relationships with all these people. You had been in relationship with them for 6 months before ever even seeing them in person for the first time. And I mean, for me, it was one of the best work-related getaways I've ever had from a connection standpoint.
For me, it was incredible, because that is just such the difference between what you get from a broker and what you get from something like your network, right? Just high-level operators. I learned things and was rubbing elbows with people who were doing things that I want to be doing in a very, very specific, concrete way, right? Like, your broker has to account for training and trying to grow the businesses of, for example, just our office, right? Like 630 different agents who are all running unique businesses, right? Our network is much more compartmentalize it's much more specific, right? Like the problems that we have in our business that I'm trying to solve every day, I was in the room with leaders who are trying to solve the same problems and having success. Yep. That is not true of the other agents in your office, right? For the most part, especially when you get to a certain level of production, you need to have a network of people that you can rely on that will give you real tangible advice, right? That you will pour into you on a real level that will allow you to turn that into action in your business, right? That's what I got out of it. It made me a better leader because there was nothing abstract about it. I understood this is what the people, right, in my network that are in my position do every single day. This is how they solve this particular, and same with me, right? I was able to pour into people that were having issues that I'm strong in, right? I was able to sit down with them and show them and map out exactly what it is that we do to handle certain issues and obstacles and grow in our business, right? It was so much more tailored to what it is that we face on a day in and day out level. A broker and a brokerage level, they cannot address that, and that's such and on that level, I don't think.
Yep.
You know.
So, and this is hard, I'm trying to figure out the right words for it, but let's say that you're new, or let's say that you're in that 17 area transaction, and let's say that you're shopping brokerages or you're shopping teams. How do you know what the best network to align with, and it's not just full of shit?
You may not.
No. Right?
Here's the really crappy answer. It's the same thing that I think we struggle with when bringing on an agent. We don't know if they really have any of the qualities they were actually telling us on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do just have to dive in and find out, and then wait 6 months and readjust if it's not what you thought it was. I do think it's time to make the decision way before you actually make it, though. Like if you're thinking about, if you're an individual agent whose business is struggling and it's been struggling for a couple of years, you've probably known before I ended up partnering with Herg, I was interviewing with teams for like 6 months before that, right? I knew that I was done flying solo.
Yep.
And I closed 36 transactions that rolling 12 months. Mm-hmm. So I think you know what you're going to do long before you do it. And as soon as you start having that feeling, you don't feel like you have to join a team. Don't feel like you have to immediately switch brokerages. But I would encourage you to start having conversations with the people whose businesses you would like to replicate.
Yeah.
Like as an industry, can we stop taking advice from people whose businesses we don't even give a shit about? Like if you're a 17 unit a year producer, you should not look at a 20 unit a year producer and ask their advice.
Part of it is, and you shouldn't, and part of it, dude, and I'll tell you, this is what holds a lot of people back, is just getting out of your own way. Like it can be a situation where it is intimidating to go and talk to people that are doing triple digits a year, right? You feel like they're above you, they won't have time for you, blah, blah, like whatever it is, right? We tend to gravitate towards the people that we feel are comparable to us, right? The 12 to 17 unit a year producers tend to gravitate towards other people on their production level, and that's their network, their mastermind, and they don't get a whole lot accomplished in the way of progress.
But they
right?
do that because they actually can't visualize themselves any higher. It's the same reason when we say, like, and Matt, you know, I'm not going to throw you under the bus with this, but we've talked about this before.
Absolutely.
You at one point couldn't visualize making a certain amount of money.
I still struggle with it.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you can't actually visualize that you can make that, then you're holding yourself back. So it goes along the line with what you're saying, Brian, is that getting out of your own way, getting out of your own head and saying, look, I know I have the capability to do 100 units. I don't know how yet, but I know that if I plug in with the right people, the right team, the right plug-and-play system, the right network, whatever that is, I will be able to help myself, you know, and do the work. I'll do 100 units. I'll make 100,000. I'll make 250, whatever that is, right? So it's exactly what you're saying is just we got to visualize it.
It's personal growth. It's a little bit of self-love and personal growth. You've got to be able to visualize it. And then once you can, you've got to really humble yourself. Like I tell my team this all the time whenever they're doing something that I think is just like ridiculous, right? Like we were talking about, I can't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about USDA loans or something like that the other day. And they were having a conversation amongst themselves. They're like, well, how do we figure out if the thing is approved for USDA loan or this and that? Like, I think that, and I literally on my computer, I Googled USDA loan eligibility, and it brought up a website. It was like you can type in the address.
No way.
And I just emailed it to everybody silently while they were having this conversation. I was like, everybody check your email inbox. I just figured out the fucking answer to your question, right? And then I said that to speak a further point, right? When I was like, guys, do you want to know what I'm really, really good at that makes you guys all think that I have all the answers? I'm unbelievable at Googling things. Like, I'm so good. And to expound upon that, I'm really good at humbling myself in the sense that I'm really good at being a novice and a beginner and being okay with that, right? And that's I'm so okay with people being above me and still asking questions. I'm okay with understanding that I am in chapter 1 or 2 or very early on in my journey, and other people are on chapter 75 and being all right with that. And that's what you have to do, right? I am in another facet of my life trying to accomplish something that is I know that I can't right now. That is incredibly difficult for me. I started training for an Ironman last month, right? And there's a lot of education that has to go into it, because it's not just endurance training. Like, you've got to plan stuff out properly. There's a whole logistical side to it, right? A lot of people don't take on that challenge, not because they don't, think they could do it. They're scared of starting, right? Yep. They're scared of, like, what would I need to know, learn? Like, they get thrown off by all that type of stuff. I literally walked into the store, like, sold all the bikes and shoes or everything. I found the first person who asked me if I needed help, and I said, I am a beginner. I don't even know what the right bike looks like. Can you please help me with everything? Exactly. Right? And, like, literally that next week, or the few days later, they set me up with a swim lesson. I did a bike fitting. They talked about I was in that store 4 different times to ask questions and to learn about, what kind of shoes I need to run that distance after doing all the other stuff. Like, what kind of gear I need. Like, I can't wear the same clothes throughout the entire thing. Like, all sorts of just stuff.
Yep.
And what I would say is, like, one of the only inherent talents I consider myself to have is, like, I didn't feel self-conscious about that at all.
Yep.
Like, I was the dumbest person in that store, and it felt just fine.
So what kind of questions should someone in real estate related, so, what should they be asking, to help them, again?
I mean, it's going to be specific to every business, but you're a good example of this, right? Before you ever met my brother or anything like that, you knew that he crushed it on Facebook building relationships, right? And you had the humility to, instead of just being like, oh, I wonder how he's doing that. Like, you called me. You're like, can we sit down with your brother for dinner, and I'll buy him dinner, and we can just talk about what the hell he's doing?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, dude. And we did it like 2 days later, Like, that's what it is. Like, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing in this regard. He seems to be very good at it. Can we talk? Like,
well, in the age of where all your connections are too, like, especially if you're in real estate, you probably have a mutual friend with somebody. We have to do the same thing for this show. I think if you want to start really evaluating a little bit, that question that we were asking everybody during advance that we sent out, when you talk about, like, the relational side of your network.
What question was that, by
so I would encourage so if you're sitting here listening to this trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about, and it's like, yeah, it's easy for those dudes because they already know dudes, right? Like, whatever. If that's your excuse, I'm going to eliminate that excuse from your mind right now, right? Like, you should look in your phone, look in your brain, look wherever you write things down, right? And find the top 5 people who are not family whose opinion you respect the most, right? That was how I determined it. I can't remember how Mo said it. And you should text them 2 questions. And this is going to be a twofold uncovering for you. One, it's going to make you do something uncomfortable that you're not going to want to do. And it's going to make you a little bit more vulnerable, which I think is helpful for everybody. But you ask them 2 things. Say, why are we friends? And what do you believe are my 3 greatest strengths, right? I think I ended up sending that to about 7 people because there were 7 that I wanted to send it to. But I would encourage you to find 5 who are not family.
I just posted it in the group.
And here's what you'll find. I think, 1, the anxiety of sending the questions and having to evaluate those 5 people should tell you a little bit about yourself, right? You're going to look at those 5 people and maybe even look at them and say, are these the 5 people they need to be?
Yeah,
right?
that's
or do
huge,
I wish these were 5 other people?
Are we going to get 5 honest answers or valuable answers from sending these to these people? Yeah,
absolutely. And then what I found in that process was everybody said something different-ish, but what was shocking to me was when they responded about what my strengths were. Those were things that, and I shared this on Facebook, there were things that outwardly I feel like really self-conscious about, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff that I'm like, if anybody knew how much that actually scares the shit out of me, they would probably not think it was that strong, right? But there was a consistency, and what I found through that was, to tie it all back in your network, was I had sent mine to the right 7 people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because of what I got back immediately filled me up. I could see it in myself through the way that they explained it to me, right? I think being that level of vulnerable has a lot of growth packed away in it too.
I'm going to tell you, because I was one of the lucky ones to receive both of those text messages from both of you. Mm-hmm. First off, I'm like, fuck. Like, here's the thing. That's easier on your side to send and waiting for it. It's harder on the receiving end saying,
to think about it.
Oh, man. Yeah. Now I feel like, was my wife around? It's like, and just those are the questions that you kind of have in those deeper relationships, and maybe just because we're all dudes, we don't necessarily express that all the way.
Right.
But when I sent them both back, and I did it fairly quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I sent them both back, I actually was like, as long as they didn't send that as a mass text message, and I'm one like I was honored and humbled that I was in that small group from both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that shows the level where we are at. You know, from a friendship wise, this is not just a business related relationship.
Absolutely.
Right. So that actually from the receiving end makes that person feel pretty special too.
I think it solidifies all your relationships. The thing is, and this probably isn't even what we meant to talk about, but I think it's super relevant to just how we build relationships these days. Nobody wants to do the wrong thing most of the time, right? And when we take a little bit of time to get to know people, we usually find out there's a very logical reason. You do this with your leads as well. You can usually find out pretty quickly there's a logical reason why they don't want to sell right now. Yep. There's a logical reason why they were pissed off that you called, right? Like there's usually a logical reason for all of that stuff, but we just get so afraid of the rejection and the fear of failure part. And man, I suffer from this at a super high level, right? So I just think we get so nervous about that aspect of it that it causes us not to reach out to leads. It causes us not to reach out to people that we might want to engage in. You know, there's somebody, I'll give her a shout out, Kristen Moore. She watches the show. She had never really engaged with it a bunch, but she sent us a message the other day and saying she really enjoyed it as a new agent, whatever. Like that kind of stuff, she just wasn't afraid to send that. And too much like Nick said, that probably did way more for me than we've done for her.
Oh, 100%.
Because we're at the beginnings phases of this, and we're wondering, like, does anybody really give a shit about what we are talking about at all? So to have somebody reach out and be like, hey, that was really helpful, it's like, hell yes.
It's so true.
Right? So like
so
you just
true.
don't know where somebody's at with what they're trying to accomplish and where their head's at, and you know, I just think it's always timing.
But this goes
right.
down to, again, so this does tie in. It actually does, right? What it's telling me is that our network is truly, you know, that cliche is your network. Your net worth is equal to your network is equal to your net worth, and vice versa, right? And so that truly shows that one, what we're doing in building our network, the relationships, like everyone in this industry. This is a small industry,
Yep.
right? And new agents, I was a big violator of this. I treated everyone like shit. I would run, like, again, if we were on the opposite end of negotiate, it doesn't matter how this relationship is. This is the opposite end. Like I told you, remember when we had that issue? I was in Orlando, and there was that commission issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, if this were anybody else, I would run over you to win. Right? I would burn the relationship. But what I've also learned is that, you know, this is a small world, and it's hard to come by true, genuine relationships,
Yes.
especially in real estate, because people are backstabbers,
Yep.
100%.
right? And so you really want to make sure that you get that alignment with the right people that are going to have your back, regardless of their competitors.
Exactly, man. So don't be afraid. Reach out to people, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. People talk, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, people are going to say, oh, it's easy for those guys to say because they're accomplished and they do. Dude, it's funny. I'm looking at just the people that just jumped on right here. Just a few of the people that it says, you know, is watching or whatever on our live feed right now. I have known some of these people for years since I was doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, I met a lot of the people who are a part of my network now back when I was not doing shit.
Yep.
You know, and those relationships are really strong now, and they're incredible advocates of my business.
You and I were talking about it when we were just talking about somebody that we potentially might want to partner with down the road. We know that there's absolutely zero chance of partnering with this person right now. Mm-hmm. They are not in the headspace for it. They are not. Why not just start having a relationship with them from real contribution, right? Sharing with them what we're doing. And I've told this story a million times on the show, very much like Nick did with the first nights I would ever met him, right?
Yeah.
The first time I ever met him. And why not just start those relationships and stop worrying about how long they take to develop? Stop worrying about what direction they go. Just be in constant relationship with people. Use social media as a conduit to stay closer to people, right? Engage on social media. Like people's shit back. Do some really basic stuff that puts you in front of people, and then you'll start seeing that show up in your life a little bit more.
And open your network.
Yes.
I mean, so with my change, I was forced into needing to open my network, right? Because when all of a sudden you make a change again, we're still pretty close-minded, unfortunately, with, all right, you're no longer associated with one brokerage, you're dead to me. And I'm like, that's just crazy. I'm still over here. Hi, guys. Like, exactly. I'm still here, right? But you know, I've got to meet like Nick Krim. He's a 25-year-old, you know, up in Ohio. This dude is killing it in social media, right? He's the one that runs content cards. He runs built my digital business card. We've talked about him in the group. He wants to go live in there, and like I got to know him really well. His story's awesome. He's a great dude, right? And he's now, I'm able to learn from him from the social media side of what he's doing, and immediately the first thing he shared with me was how to make, and Kelly probably knows how to do this, so I should have just asked Kelly, but he knows how to make it real easy on the the social media graphics where it looks like the line's going across as it's playing, the timer thing. He's like, no, that's easy. You just need this, and this. He sent me the formatting on it. Now I just got to buy Camtasia, and it's already done. Right? He sent it and shared it with me.
Yep.
Like,
that's awesome.
No reason. Like, this is my first time meeting him in person, and that's the thing is you got to open your network.
Yep.
Right? And come from true. You got to be genuine with it, and you got to just expect nothing from it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Pour into other people as well. You would be amazed, and this is what keeps a lot of people from, for example, starting a podcast or a YouTube channel. It's like we just don't feel like we have a lot to give. I guarantee you there is, even in your real estate business, no matter where you are, there is something that you can contribute to somebody else, right? And they will gladly. Like, that's why we do with our live events and stuff like that. Like, we love sharing about our business because, one, most people just don't have the drive or the wherewithal to rip us off verbatim and go and create the same business we have. All it does for us is help us learn from other people, right? It helps us form relationships and us learn stuff that we never knew, and help us grow our business that way. We actually get more from giving, I think, than anything else. And that was like a real aha moment for me when we first did our first few live events. It was like we had so many people reaching out to us afterwards just wanting to sit down and talk, and I learned more from those conversations than I felt like I was sharing.
And I don't want to peel the curtain back too far and make everybody who watches this think we don't care about you, but you don't have to be some highly productive genius to do this kind of stuff. Pretty much everything you see us doing is happening about 15 minutes before you see it starting. First off, right? But what we're doing is it doesn't need to be rehearsed and produced because
I'm
all
still
we're doing,
thinking of my billionaire idea.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have like 6 minutes.
6 minutes. But the reality is there's no real, like, if you're just sharing your life and you're just people are going to be attracted to that. They're going to relate to it. There's something very Seinfeldian about it. That it's like if you just are an actual real human, you don't even have to do anything shockingly amazing. I was able to share a bunch of stuff, and it, we'll get to it on the podcast maybe sometime down the road, but in advanced, I was able to sit on a panel and share some stuff that I think shocked a lot of people in the room, right? Like, just because you look around at somebody's business, somebody's social media profile, right? And you don't know much about them if they don't share a lot, or you're like me and you share a ton and you think you know everything about them. Either way, you're probably wrong.
Yep.
Right? So if you really take the time, I think, to get in relationship with people, be transparent and share what you're doing, people are going to be attracted to that.
100%.
That's all we do.
I think you should do a whole episode of how we met. I mean, that was a crazy time,
dude. There will be. I'm telling you guys, 2020. There'll be a lot more storytelling coming in the near future, hopefully. But there's a lot of stuff that I think people just don't realize about how difficult this industry can be. I think a lot of new agents get bogged down in the fact that we paint this picture of 3 transactions a month isn't that hard. Right, like 3 transactions a month is hard as shit, right? Like there's a reason a lot of agents just don't do 3 transactions a month, right? And we just sell it this whole bill of goods.
No, it's easy. I'm telling you, it's hard because they don't want to do it.
That's my whole point,
right? I had this entire
It's
conversation.
hard, it's not difficult.
That's it.
Yeah, I had this entire conversation today of people. The top 2 things we hear. Why are they getting real estate? Right, time freedom.
Yep.
Unlimited income.
Yep.
The number one answer in income is how much they want to make is $100,000 or more.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, you can't have that time freedom and make $100,000. Like, not in the beginning.
Not right away.
Right. And so, you want to make $100,000 working 1 hour a week.
Yep.
Right. You're not even following the 4-hour work week book. Like, come on, guys.
And I think that's the difficulty for a lot of agents. It's the mindset aspect of it, but it's because they're being told that all they got to do is just walk in, sign up. People start buying and selling houses.
And that's the other problem. That is the old school brokerage mentality and the old school just agent mentality of just tell them what they want to hear, get them in. It's a numbers game.
Yep.
And no, that's no longer the case, right? Because it doesn't do you any good just signing up bodies.
Yep.
And so now it's coming in and saying, look, this is hard. It is. Like, it's hard because you have to commit time.
Yep.
Right? Like, I would much rather commit time cold calling than what Brian's committing on his journey to an Ironman.
I think one of the hardest things is we've shifted the conversation in real estate from zip codes to neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We need to shift the conversations around relationships and more so even your business from brokerage to network, right?
Yes.
Like it is a lot smaller, tighter knit than you feel like it should be.
Oh, 100%.
Right? There should not be many people influencing your business there just shouldn't be that many people in your life who have an influence on your financial future.
Yeah, I think if we're going to boil it down to actionable stuff, you probably, if you're listening to the show and you want to talk about, what you can be doing in the short term, I would encourage you in the next week to reach out to 3 people you've never spoken to before, but you respect their business.
Yep.
And invite them out for coffee and just see where the conversation goes. Because much like this podcast, I guarantee you'll go in unprepared and you will have a very long conversation that you didn't think that you were going to have before.
Yep.
Kind of like this episode and all our other ones.
I love coffee. Hit me up. Or Zoom.
Zoom.
I'm doing a lot of Zoom now. Like, let's just Zoom it. I mean, Brian, we're pretty
We
good
Zoom
with
like
Zoom
crazy.
now. Yeah.
Brian and I are probably on 15 Zoom calls a week, I would bet.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
Uh-oh, what's he trying to figure out now?
Oh.
Stopping down the show for
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Well,
Is the water on gray twig turned off?
Question mark.
see, so voice to text is another way you can get more efficient when
No,
trying to deal with dumb
Let's
real
talk
estate.
about. Actually, let's do a whole show on voice to text because I think it's the most ridiculous thing y'all do.
It is. I love voice to text so much. I use it for everything.
No, god awful, god awful.
So go ahead.
Well, you go because it's going to just be more about what we talked about on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that if you're still having the brokerage battle, and I understand the comment section of social media is a really great place just to go and piss on other people's fire, right? Like I get it. But at the end of the day, if this is deterring any amount of time from your life and you're legitimately ending relationships because of brokerage affiliation, I will say very clearly, you do not get it. You do not get it, right? There's no reason that there shouldn't be ample opportunity for you to integrate your life, your finances, your wealth, your enjoyment, your vacations with people who are not in your immediate brokerage but are in your immediate network. And I think that was one of the things that was super revealing to me this week is that individually, we all happen to be in each other's networks, but outside of that, we both are also part of very, very strong networks that would flourish in any brokerage.
Right.
They would flourish in any brokerage, right?
And it's all about increasing income through whatever opportunity. Whether the goal is to sell more houses.
Yep.
Right. Whether it is to gain coaching clients.
Right.
Whether it is to gain it through ancillary incomes, through mortgage insurance, you name it, whatever. Right. Whether it's to do it through attracting agents into your world through the revenue share, profit share game. Right. The whole thing that your network should do in the beginning, at least business-wise, is make you become more efficient, more profitable, more money.
Yep.
Then from there, what does it do in your personal life? Are they bettering your personal life? Because you can have business relationships that are amazing, but actually worse for your personal life.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Where they're out drinking all the time and sleeping around, and then all of a sudden you fall into a trap like that. It's like, all right, that was a great business move, but bad on my personal life. Would you do that again?
And I'd flip that on its head, man. I mean, I honestly, and this is where, like, to me, I would happily make less money in order to be in perfect alignment relationally. Because for me, dude, feeling joyful internally, that is seriously the only buzz I'm chasing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it, right?
Yeah, and that's tough for me because I'm attracted to making large sums of money.
Yeah. I'm attracted to it.
That drives me. That fuels me.
Yep.
And that's where my internal struggle is, because also I also fight to have that family time, but they fight.
Yep.
Right? And that's
100%.
the toughest part.
Yep.
At least in my world. Right? Like in yours, you're like, I would be happy to make less money.
Yep.
Make a little bit less, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of
like
less.
I still want more than I have, but I don't need all the.
Right.
But that's not me. Like you would never hear that from my lips.
Yeah.
Like I want to have that family time and make a shit ton more money.
Yeah. And look, if that's the scenario, then I mean that's obviously there's nothing wrong with that either, right? I think it's when one or the other suffers in a way where it's I don't know. That's a whole nother fucking show.
That's all.
Yeah, whole show. So let's go before billionaire idea. Go to touracademy.com.
Yep.
Sign up. $1. If you can't do $1, get out of the business.
This
right
whole
now.
conversation legitimately came from our bi-week or our bi-monthly mastermind, right?
Yeah.
Like this is something that we were talking about on there with those guys.
We went a little
too.
deeper on that one.
We did. But I mean, the
and-
idea of this conversation and just the thought process around it.
Yeah.
100%.
So touracademy.com. Join our Facebook group. The only Facebook group worth being a part of.
Nope.
The only real estate group worth being a part of. Go there, sign up. We're having a great time in there. And then also you get to hear this billionaire idea. So are we ready?
As usual, Derek, this is not fully formed. But
Yes.
I have this funny image in my head. I'm going to go to the Super Bowl alone. Meaning no one else will be there because I will buy all the tickets. So I'm going to buy all the tickets to the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to sit there at the 50-yard line by myself. And then we're going to do like the normal news or the live, the normal TV broadcast and all that type of stuff. But the game is just going to be eerily quiet because I'm not going to get that crazy either. I'm just going to sit there like I'm watching a movie. And I think that first of all, there's something hilarious about that in my mind. But what's even better is halfway through the third quarter, I'm going to go streaking and get tackled by security. And
there'll be no one.
I just want to see what the ESPN coverage is of that for like the next 2 weeks about just the whole weird nonsense surrounding the game and how there's only one person in the stands and then he went streaking.
That may be the best overuse of money you've come up with so far.
I mean, that's by far. I think that's probably more expensive than starting my own utopian city, just for a funny bit.
You think they'd do anything to you though? Like, would they actually do anything to you if?
I feel like they'd respect the game.
And here's the other thing: he's got to wear like the Miami Marlins guy's outfit. Like it's not even for either of the teams.
It's a baseball jersey.
Exactly right.
An orange visor.
I'm gonna wear a New York Devil or New Jersey Devils hockey jersey or something.
Yeah, what really
like that.
bothers me is when people go to a sporting event and wear either a team that's one not playing that night.
Oh man, that drives me crazy.
Or two, like another sport from the same city.
Oh yeah, I think the first one bothers me more than anything. Like if you go to a Dallas Cowboys versus Packers game and you wear, a San Diego, or I guess not San Diego, LA Chargers jersey, like man, I want to push you down the stairs. Did you feel the need to just let everybody know you know what football is?
I went to a Cowboys game one time when T.O. was on the team. There was a guy wearing a T.O.'s Eagles jersey, and they were playing the Ravens or something. I was like, "What are you doing, you jackass?"
Right?
No.
But as long as I'm with Brian on when it comes to jerseys. If you put your own last name on the back of that
That's the
jersey,
worst.
Oh, that is the worst.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true.
hate you. If you get a blank jersey and put your own name on it as if you are on the team, you got no place in my life.
That's how I feel about double zeros too.
Aaron Foster said that's a stupid idea. If you bought all the tickets, why wouldn't you be on the field instead?
But I think
of
you
in the
said that
seats?
before I announced that I was going to go streaking.
Now you probably like. I'm in a few
field at
groups
some
with
point,
Aaron
Aaron.
Foster. He definitely thinks that idea is hilarious.
I love
He has a better version
I love
already for
Aaron.
you.
Aaron's
cracks
great
me
on
up,
these.
dude.
So
All right. So touracademy.com, the only real estate group worth being a part of. We post some silly nonsense in there. Thank you for joining us on this journey today.
Yes, sir.
D, get us out of here, baby.